What's up, everyone? I'm Jacob, back again with the Mono Cat team. Very excited to record again with this team. Had a ton of fun last time, and playing with it on Pokemon Showdown and on the ladder in the meantime between videos. But, it's a team that's very, very fun, very cool, a lot of, neat things you can do with it. In the time that I, between videos, got to think a little bit more about it, and I think it's one of those, it's a team that just has basically 6 pocket picks on it. It's 6 Pokemon that aren't used too much, but really do have some solid matchups into a lot of, the common Pokemon you're going to see, and very, very flexible. Pokemon like Meowstic, which you never see, but with that moveset, with the Focus Sash, it allows it to be your damage mitigation, your speed control, your weakness policy activation, allows it to KO Pokemon from low health with a priority move, which is huge. Entei also is another form of speed control and damage mitigation with Snarl, also activates your weakness policy, also just hits really hard with Sacred Fire and Stone Edge. And you get to see Umbreon and Leafeon a little bit in this video as well, put in some work. But had a ton of fun, and want to ask you the question of the day as well before we get started. And asking, what's your favorite Pokemon movie? In the meantime, while I was shiny hunting just on the side, I like to put something on, whether it's a Twitch stream or something like that. Rewatched Pokemon the movie 3, the third movie, pretty recently. It's the one starring Entei and the Unknown, where Ash's mom gets kidnapped by Entei, who's summoned there by the Unknown. It's, the story, I think, is fine, but the animation, the voice acting, I think it really, really holds up. They do a really cool thing where they mix the 3D models of the Unknown with the 2D animation style of the movie, and it just looks super, super cool for a movie that came out, I think, in 2003. So I have a ton of nostalgia for that one. Pokemon Forever, Pokemon the movie 2000, like that whole era of the motion pictures that came out too are just so cool, and the animations that they do for the battles and the intro scenes. There's a Totodile against a Grand Bull at the beginning of the third movie that is just so beautifully animated, and it really draws you in. Could go on for a while talking about how cool that movie is, but I think that's definitely one of my favorites. One of the reasons why Entei is, I wouldn't say my favorite Pokemon, but definitely up there. I just think it's so cool. I think, Rise of Darkrai does the same thing for Palkia and Dialga with me, where those Pokemon just looked so cool and powerful in that movie that, kind of stuck with me. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section below. While you're there, leave a like, subscribe, helps out a lot. I am having a ton of fun, recording these videos, hoping to put out some more. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, first battle of the day. And it's pretty standard Zacian Kyogre. Yeah. I mean, this is a, archetype that has changed throughout Series 12. Back in, February, you would have seen this with the Zapdos instead of the Thundurus, which I still like more. The trouble is the Kyogre's item, because, and I ran into this while testing with the team between videos too, but because we're adamant on Entei, we're not Jolly, we do not outspeed a Scarf Kyogre, and that can be pretty bad. Which means that Meowstic Solgaleo is a much safer lead. I actually want to go Solgaleo Meowstic for my own visual senses. And then the last, do we go Entei for the late game speed, firing off potential Scarf Secret Fire into Zacian, or do we go Umbreon as just another Kyogre stopper? I think it's Entei. And I like going Meowstic up front because it gives us a ton of options. I mentioned in the last video that Meowstic just does so many things, and they're all good. They're very rarely do I find Meowstic sitting on the field and there's nothing of value that I can really do. You run into that every once in a while with a Grimmsnarl or other dedicated support Pokemon where, once Grimmsnarl gets its screens up, if it's staring down 2 physical attackers, there's not much it really does. But if Meowstic's on the field, you can keep charming a Zacian, you can keep, thunder waving whatever's on the field, you can always set up light screens, sucker punches are always valuable. Now against this lead, Entei Solgaleo rolls. Entei Solgaleo dominates this lead because I can just max Steel Spike the Zacian and Bulldoze, and that's, there's nothing they can do to stop it because you can't fake out the Entei. But because they can fake out Meowstic, I kind of want to keep my Sash intact. Yeah, I want to keep my Sash intact. I am going to Steel Spike Zacian still. Yeah, because Palkia doesn't need a max in this game in order to be valuable against Kyogre. I am going to Steel Spike into the Zacian. Well, yeah, I don't think they would bring Thundurus if it's not being led, but just so I can get an attack off, I'm going to go straight out into Entei. Because this gives me the option the next turn of clicking Bulldoze plus, you know, whatever max move I want. And keeps the Focus Sash intact on Meowstic for the late game. They're not switching, which is a good sign for me. They could, you know, I think a Sacred Sword into Solgaleo plus, you know, like a fake out into the Meowstic slot feels pretty safe. They could also, you know, have doubled into Meowstic, which I think is a really reckless play, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because I ended up switching Meowstic out. They try to fake out my Solgaleo, actually, which is really interesting. And they're just going to try to Behemoth Blade from the Meowstic. Little do they know that does 60%, which is bonkers. Yeah, we also take that very well on Entei too. It's not a 2-hit KO, which is super nice. We get the defense boost too, and I mean now we roll. I think now we take over because we can just click Bulldoze, Max Quake, get Solgaleo's special defense boosted, and Kyogre can't really touch us. So let's Quake into the Incineroar and Bulldoze because Zacian's definitely going to want to switch out here. I would think Zacian either switches or protects, and even if they do attack, they really can't do too much. You know, a Sacred Sword would KO Entei at this point, but that's fine because that just gives me a free switch in back to Meowstic. That they're not going to switch or protect, so I mean, Bulldoze is a 2-hit KO from that range. We get our weakness policy. Even if it's Shuka on the Incin, I think we... Or actually, no, it's not Shuka because we Bulldoze. Yeah, I was like, that's the other part of it that have to think about too. But yeah, so we are just going to KO the Incineroar here. Beautiful. Don't have to worry about that Pokemon. It's not really a threat to this team. This team actually deals with Incin super well. But, you know, it could just be a nuisance. And the sooner that we can trap Pokemon on the field, the sooner that we can, you know, start doing Meowstic things, which you love to see. So Zacian's going to stay in. They are going to get the KO on Entei. The crit didn't matter. We just go out to Meowstic here. Now we're glad we kept the Focus Sash because a Scarf Kyogre, again, is still a little spooky. But we are going to be able to set up Light Screen with Meowstic, potentially Thunder Wave some stuff. I don't know why they didn't target Solgaleo too. It's Grimmsnarl, so it could be, you know, a Thunder Wave coming my way, which would be a bummer, I'll say. I'm still going to just Steel Spike the Grimmsnarl. I don't really lose anything by that. And let's Charm Zacian. Do I want to do that? I think so. Let me just double check, because Palkia... We're fast. Yeah, we outspeed Zacian now. So we really don't need to Charm it. So let's just go with... Let's Thunder Wave, because in case they switch out into Kyogre for that slot. But yeah, Zacian protecting always felt like the obvious play. I protect and they try to Thunder Wave Solgaleo, but that's fine. They just Reflect, though. I don't think that's going to save them. We're +2 max Steel Spike. I don't think that's going to save them here. So that's going to be bye-bye Grimmsnarl, which you'll love to see. Now Zacian's stuck in the field. And this is exactly the way that you want to play with Solgaleo, is, you know, just pick up as many KOs as you can with your Dynamax and force an endgame where you have the numbers advantage. So right now, what I'm going to do is Thunder Wave the Kyogre that's coming in. Not Max Steel Spike, but Sunsteel Strike the Zacian because they just protected. And then we turn it into a 1v3 with their Kyogre, who still does have Dynamax, but because of our +1 special defense, and Solgaleo isn't going to be able to KO us, and because of the Focus Sash on Meowstic isn't going to be able to KO. So you've got a pretty free Sunsteel Strike here. Yeah, the thing is, Kyogre, if they do Dynamax, we're guaranteed faster regardless with Solgaleo. Because if they are holding a Choice Scarf, you know, it wouldn't have the effect. If they don't max here, so they can have the speed advantage, then we do risk like a Water Spout crit on Solgaleo, which would be a bummer. I am going to Thunder Wave. Actually, no, not Sucker Punch. Light Screen's always safer. Again, we do risk like Scarf, Ogre, Water Spout, crit, which is what they're going for. Oh, but it's just Quick Attack. Okay, so that does break my Focus Sash. But they're not Scarfed Ogre. Yeah, they're not Scarfed, so that's fine. We are going to pick up the KO on Zacian. So it does turn into a 1v3, but if they do Water Spout here, Meowstic, because we don't have any special defense investment, I think still goes down through the light screen. But we don't. We live. Huge. Okay, so I know that I said Meowstic was, you know, the unsung hero, MVP of this team. Meowstic's absolutely the sung hero. Meowstic kicks... I don't want to, you know, say any profanities on the channel, actually. But Meowstic is so good. Meowstic is so good. That's insane to live that attack. So yeah, so Wild Charge and I mean, we could Sucker Punch for some damage, it'd be funny. But I think Thunder Wave is always better. Because that means that Palkia outspeeds. They're not going to max either, which is very interesting. Yeah, we don't see, you know, we didn't see an item the last time. I mean, if they click Water Spout again here, yeah, I would, you know, it might be Specs with the way they're trying to stay in, but yeah, Paralyzed that low, even if they Dynamax now, another Wild Charge is going to finish it off. Yeah, I think not maxing there is a really interesting decision. But yeah, I mean, this just shows you the power of Solgaleo. You know, that's what this team does so well, is just enabling Solgaleo. And Palkia. But Palkia really serves, like, the secondary role here. In that it shores up some problem matchups. You know, the Kyogres, Groudons, Palkia just deals really well with those. And it's a pretty solid Dynamax option, especially if we're going into, like, a Groudon Zacian. They're going to max now, which I think is just a little bit too little too late. Because our Wild Charge is definitely going to pick up the KO from this range, and it's going to start us off with a victory here for Game 1, which you love to see. You love to see. Again, I haven't played too much lately, so nice to start off with a dub. And once this animation goes through, I will also see if we can check their team. But yeah, there are games like that where they just don't ever feel really in doubt with this team. Whenever you have Solgaleo activated and, like, you know, rear and ready to go right from the jump. So it just feels really good. But yeah, it doesn't look like we can check their team. Let's get on to the second battle. Second one of the day, and there's a Hydreigon. And I love that. Yeah, a couple different things a Hydreigon can do. It really is just the Calyrex counter. Calyrex-Shadow Rider specifically. So I don't know if we're going to see it. We might with, you know, our Solgaleo. You know, they could think that it has a pretty good matchup, which it might. You know, if that's like the Assault Vest variant, we could be in a little bit of trouble because we can't Thunder Wave it. We can't, do too much. They do have Tailwind in Whimsicott, another Zacian Ogre. So that means once again no Leafeon, which is heartbreaking, I'll say. But I think it's just the same four. Yeah, I don't feel good leading Entei into a matchup where my opponent has a Tailwind user. Could also think about leading Palkia here, but yeah, the Hydreigon's gonna be a little bit of a nuisance. I think. Might consider bringing Umbreon here then over the Entei so that I can Snarl and just reduce its damage, but Entei's got the Scarf and can Snarl too. Yeah, I think it's just the same 4. I think it's just the most consistent to like a Zacian Ogre comp. This one, of course, is a little bit different. They've got the Tailwind option, so yeah, we'll see. You know, we'll see how we're able to manage this one, because that's one of the things that this team does pretty well overall. Is, you know, it's able to without Tailwind or Trick Room go first pretty consistently, whether that's through Thunder Waves, through Bulldoze, you know, Leafeon in the Sun, which again I'm itching to fight. I'm definitely just going to keep this video going until I find a Groudon. But yeah, this is a little scary. The Hydreigon, I really don't know this thing's speed tier, which is also an issue. But I think, you know, we can just play it pretty safe turn 1, Protect and Light Screen. Yeah, if I Protect and Light Screen, and then, like, turn 2, you know, if Kyogre's Scarfed, then I can Thunder Wave it. Yeah. But they're gonna max Hydreigon turn 1 feels pretty, pretty strong for them. Again, it kind of puts down both my restricteds, which is a little scary. But we'll see. We'll see what we can do, because with the Protect here, that does mean that we can get our Weakness Policy activated, assuming they go, you know, Max Darkness into that slot. So we're gonna Protect. I would imagine, you know, just Water Spout plus, you know, Max Darkness from them this turn, as they're in a pretty good offensive position. So Darkness comes out first. It's not Scarfed Ogre. Good to confirm that. And we do still take a decent bit. I'm trying to do the mental math there. I think if we max, we'll live another, because we don't get the special defense drop. And especially if we end up being faster with Solgaleo, which, yeah, I think is going to be a toss-up. The Water Spout, that's fine. It's going to bring Meowstic down to Sash, which you don't love to see, but yeah, you know, we're able to hold on from there. And now with our boosted Solgaleo, I mean, I think we have to max it. So there's not much I can do with the Mons in the back. Yeah, I mean, if I can get rid of the Hydreigon, then I'm in a great spot. The trouble here is how do I do that? I mean, it's a Steel Spike, and it's Thunder Wave into Kyogre at least, because I can slow that thing down and not have to worry about it. I would think the Kyogre is probably just like Mystic Water for it to bring me down to Sash with Meowstic through Light Screen. We know it's not Scarf because the Hydreigon went first. If our Solgaleo is faster, which I think we should be, we're pretty speedy. Of course, Thunder Wave goes off first, so we're still in a little bit of suspense. I hold my breath there for a second, because that's going to really... I mean, this turn is going to determine a lot in the outcome of this battle. So we Steel Spike. I don't expect this to KO, but it does. Oh, wow. That's a very lucky crit. That's a super lucky crit. Oh, wow. I feel pretty bad about that. Oh, man. I mean, we wouldn't have KO'd. Yeah, that does so much. Okay. Yeah, we definitely... I don't think we would have KO'd. I can do the calc off screen. But I don't think we would have knocked out the Hydreigon without the crit. And then between like a Darkness and a Water Spout, that double up definitely gets the KO. The issue now is, who do I bring in? We've got Palkia, we've got Entei. I think we go Palk first, because I would think they bring out Zacian here. But it's Regieleki. Okay. I don't think the Alecki can knock out Solgaleo. Yeah, I don't think the Alecki can knock out Solg at this point. We do have the defense boost, not the special defense boost. Kyogre, I mean, it's just, you know, a Max Lightning into that slot. I'm actually going to Quake, because that should still KO, because we do have the boost, because we're at +2, and it boosts my special defense. Actually, I don't really need that, but it also guarantees the KO on like a Zacian switch in if they're feeling crazy. And then Earth Power into the Alecki. Alecki shouldn't be able to KO either of my Pokemon this turn. And that's really what I'm banking on. They Thunderbolt into Palkia. Beautiful, we take that. Yeah, and it's Life Orb, so this, I would think, is just a double KO this turn. Because we get our Max Quake off. That goes into Kyogre. Beautiful. And we are gonna knock out the Alecki, or should knock out the Alecki with an Earth Power. Because they're Life Orb. And now it's a 3v1 with the Zacian at the end. I mean, again, it's just a Solgaleo Masterclass that we're putting on here today. Yeah, there's not much more you can say about it. The team is fairly linear. A couple of different optimizations you can make depending on the matchup, but it's pretty straightforward as far as you want Solgaleo to be your primary Dynamax option. You want to get the weakness policy activated, and then from there, just take KOs. This turn, I could get really cheeky and like protect Solgaleo, Earth Power with Palkia, but Zacian can only KO one, and that's exactly how I lose, is if I get too cute. So I just attack with both. Zacian can KO Palkia or do a decent bit of damage to Solgaleo. They can't KO me in max. And then bring in Entei, either Bulldoze or Sacred Fire, win the game from there, because Entei is faster with the Choice Scarf. Of course they did cancel, but I'm just still walking through the end game there, because I think we are in a pretty good spot. But yeah, we'll get on to the third battle. Maybe the final one. We'll see. I mean, it depends if we find a Groudon, we gotta get Leafeon some screen time today. So we'll see. Alright, third battle of the day. Maybe the final one. And it is very scary Zacian Kyogre. The third Zacian Kyogre team we face today. This one, I think, is definitely the most threatening as far as offensive potential. But I think we do pretty well into it. Yeah, I mean, variations of this team have popped up all over, everywhere. The Kartana is definitely scary, but I don't know if they would even bring it, seeing the Entei and the Solgaleo. Yeah, I hate to just bring the same four, but Solgaleo is definitely the lead. I want to lead Entei, but again, Scarf Ogre makes a ton of sense on this comp, where they don't have Tailwind, but they are still very fast-paced. And the Alecki could outspeed, and Max Lightning from Regieleki is just going to OHKO Entei, which I don't love. So it is going to be Meowstic. We're going to go Entei Palkia. We don't have to worry about, the Landorus Intimidates. Solgaleo is just really good in this matchup, and Meowstic can make sure that we can do whatever we need to do turn one, I think. So the first couple of battles have been pretty short. Hopefully this one we can breeze through pretty quickly and get a fourth, and hopefully find honestly anything that's not Zacian Kyogre. But ideally we fight like Rinyasan or just any Groudon comp. We're able to bring the Leafeon and go from there. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Gotta think about the battle that's in front of me right now, as it is just Regieleki Kyogre. So that's definitely scary. Regieleki Kyogre is definitely a little scary, but we've got some tricks up our sleeve. And one of the things that we can do is just max right away. Now the question is, do I want to max Lightning the Kyogre, or do I want to max Quake the Regieleki? Landorus as a switch-in nullifies both of those, which is a little bit of a bummer. I think Quaking the Alecki is a little bit safer. So let's Quake the Alecki and Light Screen. I want to Quake the Alecki and Thunder Wave the Kyogre, because I know I've talked about Scarf Ogre. I've talked about Scarf Ogre on, I think, all of the battles I've done today so far, but definitely this one feels the most like it could be holding a Choice Scarf. And so I definitely want to slow it down and get my defense raise, and because they do Dynamax the Regieleki, a Quake into that slot's going to be great. It's going to be super, super nice. Of course, we don't know if they're physical or special, so we don't know if the light screen even would have made a difference, which, you know, feeds more into the Thunder Wave play, and again, assuming that we hit the T-Wave. But, you know, they do see us max Solgaleo. We'll see what they go for. I would assume just, like, you know, max Lightning, try to eliminate, try to deal big chunks of damage into Solgaleo and then eliminate the Meowstic. Thankfully, unless they double up into that slot, Meowstic's going to live another turn because they do have that Focus Sash as they Lightning into Meowstic. So I don't think Meowstic's going to stick around. Unfortunately, I don't think Meowstic's going to stick around unless the Kyogre gets fully paralyzed. But they do just set up the Electric Terrain for me so that I can max Lightning the Kyogre and do some big old damage. So let's Quake into the Aleki. I don't know if this KOs. Yeah. A lot of Alekis, especially the Dynamax versions, are running more physical defense. That's a trend that I really like. You know, we saw that it is Life Orb. It's not one of the Assault Vest variants, but even like Life Orb Aleki is running pretty significant physical defense investment so that it can, you know, live a Rillaboom Grassy Glide, you know, of course, attacks from Zacian, things like that. I'm gonna go Palkia here. Losing Meowstic turn 1 doesn't feel great. And this puts us in a position where we kind of have to protect Palkia. Because a max Lightning in Electric Terrain is definitely going to KO. So that's a bummer. That's a bummer for sure. Let's see what they got in the back. It's going to be Zacian, and it's going to be probably Landorus, I would think. Yeah, I want to keep all my Pokemon around is the thing. I would have loved Meowstic to survive that first turn, but we are just going to Steel Spike the Aleki for a physical defense boost and protect. I know it took up too much of the timer there, but yeah, the Kyogre is really not too threatening right now, as they're going to max Lightning. That goes into the Solgaleo, so you know they called my Protect. And oh wow, that did a lot of damage into Solgaleo. And I think a Water Spout from Kyogre is probably going to pick me off from there. Which is not good. Which is very, very not good. Palkia is not going to take any damage. They Origin Pulse, it goes in the Protect. And we'll see if they hit. I think that's going to knock me out. Yeah. Okay. So, in a bit of a tough spot, what do we do? I mean, we go Entei, of course. We have to go Entei here. I didn't think the Max Lightning was going to do that much into Solgaleo, and they made a really good call on my Protect. They do go Zacian, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, this turn, it's Bulldoze and Earth Power the Zacian. If they are no bulk Zacian, it's a guaranteed KO with that double up. And if they are max HP, if they're max HP, then it's something like a 50% chance, 55. So it's always going to be a roll in our favor. It does lock us in a Bulldoze for the rest of the game, but I don't think Entei is going to survive past this turn anyway, so yeah, I'm definitely okay going for this play. They could just protect Zacian here, which would be pretty bad, but they don't. We do get the Bulldoze. Of course, Telepathy blocks that. That's the first time we've gotten to show that interaction here. But it's going to slow down the Zacian, so Palkia is going to outspeed. That didn't do too much from the Bulldoze. So we'll see if this Earth Power is able to pick up the KO. We're pretty offensive on Palkia. And we do get that KO. Now, a full pair from Kyogre here would be sick. Would be phenomenal. But, yeah, that's asking a little bit too much. They do Water Spout. That's definitely going to KO Entei. But it's not going to do anything into Palkia. So depending on what the last is, we could be in a pretty good spot here. I'd imagine it's Landorus, but it is just Grimmsnarl. Okay. Well, Grimmsnarl in the rain. I would depend on how much special defense investment they have, or if they set up Light Screen. But if we can just get this Hydro Pump off, if they just go straight for a Spirit Break and don't put up a Light Screen first, they're going to fake Tears. That's scary, but we always have the full para win con. As Palkia's going to go first, Hydro Pump in the rain on Grimmsnarl, I would think this probably KOs. Beautiful. And now, you know, we'll see how much, and there's the full para. That's big. That's very, very nice. Kyogre's main... Yeah, I mean, Kyogre's attacks are Water and Thunder. I'm going to protect this turn just to stall the last turn of Rain. So that, you know, if they're trying to go for a Thunder in this position, it's not going to be fully accurate. They're fully paralyzed again. You know, makes the turn pretty moot. But the Rain and the Electric Terrain are going to disappear. So, if they're clicking Thunders, they have not a great chance of getting this to land. If it's an Ice Beam, we could be in trouble. Ice Beam, after one more turn of Life Orb Chip, may... Because I'm at -2 defense... Oh, no! The triple full para! I was prepared. I was like, okay, Ice Beam, like... You know, it's probably a roll, depending on how much investment they have. But now we can just go for Earth Power, because that's 100% accurate. And that should win us the game. They just cancel the battle. Yeah, I feel pretty bad about that one. The triple full para, you know, one of them didn't matter, because I protected that turn, but that's a tough way to go. Okay. Yeah, we'll get one more in. We'll get one more in. It's gonna be against a Groudon, because I'm just gonna keep finding battles until I find one against a Groudon at this point, but... I mean, as you can see, Cat Team demolishes Zacian Kyogre. I mean, that's just the name of the game, is you pick cats, you beat whales. Cats beat dogs, too. Yeah, that's about as much cringe humor as I can think of right now, so let's get on to the last one. Alright, last one of the day. It's not a Groudon, but I think Leafeon can still put in some work. I think Leafeon can still do some stuff here, because we do have the Yawn, we do have... Leaf Blade, boosted by the Rose Incense, into the Gastrodon. Yeah, I think we can do something. Is gonna be my mantra here. Thing is, Entei Solgaleo could be really strong, but the Calyrex is definitely scary. So let's go Entei Palkia, Umbreon, and Leafeon. This is definitely not the optimal 4. For sure. Because Meowstic just eats Calyrex between, you know, Thunder Waves and Sucker Punches and things like that, plus the Focus Sash. I mentioned in the last video too, but like Sucker Punch from Meowstic does like 33% minimum to Calyrex. It's kind of funny. But we're going with these 4 because Leafeon has to do something. So definitely a very unconventional team after running into 3 Zacian Kyogre archetypes in a row. But I'm excited to see what the Tyranitar is going to do, what the Espeon, I didn't even mention, so another evolution on the other side. Yeah, really curious about this team. As they are going to go Espeon and Calyrex-Shadow Rider. Palkia Entei, so Entei's going to outspeed. We are going to get... yeah, Entei's going to outspeed. So we'll be able to get a Bulldoze off, but we could also just Snarl immediately. And I think that might be more worthwhile. Is just clicking Snarl right off the bat. And... Is that... Because the question would be, does Max Geyser plus Bulldoze KO Calyrex? And I think it would. So I want to go for that play. We'll go Bulldoze plus Max Geyser. The problem is that they could just go out into Gastrodon. So Geyser's stronger, but let's Wormwind. I'm kind of banking on this KOing Calyrex, assuming that they don't Dynamax. I think that's the... Oh no, I think that's a Calyrex. That's going to max here. So immediately, I see my play backfire. Could have Quaked with Palkia too. Either way, I'm going to get the speed advantage. So that's one good thing that's going to come out of this. But yeah, I mean, this, like, Psychic Spam, I would imagine it's going to be either, like, a Max Mindstorm, plus, you know, Expanding Force from Espeon, or, actually, yeah, that feels pretty likely. Which, that's why we have Umbreon in the back, to switch in, as Bulldoze is going to lower their speed. I mean, this is still going to do a good chunk to Calyrex. It's definitely going to be a 2 KO, and wow, okay, it's a... oh, they crit both! We got crazy luck today. Crazy luck today. The double crit Bulldoze. I was going to say, I'm like, that does so much more damage than I thought it would. Wormwind, yeah, I mean, Wormwind's going to do a ton. So, you know, I don't think Palkia's going to go down this turn. That's kind of my hope here. As they are going to Mindstorm, it goes into Entei, that's going to KO. Because, you know, Entei, they crit back, but I don't think it mattered. Entei's so cool. Entei's such a cool Pokemon. But its stats, you know, it definitely suffers from that, like, Gen 1, Gen 2 syndrome, where its stats just don't keep up with current generation. Expanding Force is going to do a ton. That stinks. That does way more damage than I would like. But we have to go out to Umbreon. The problem is that I really don't have a way to beat the Zacian now, because Entei's gone. So that's a bummer, for sure. But, yeah, I mean, the Espeon slowed a little bit, but it should probably still be faster than our Umbreon, I would think. We're just going to Snarl and Max Quake into Calyrex. The Quake's going to get that KO. They Guard. It's a pretty good play. We'll see. I mean, it depends on how much speed investment they've got in Espeon. I would imagine enough to outspeed, yeah. To outspeed Umbreon. And this one's going to do less because it is spread. It doesn't do that much less. But solid Snarl. You'll have to see it. Yeah. This is not great. Because I just have to make the same play. I have to take care of Calyrex. I could have read last turn into Calyrex. Calyrex protecting. And that probably would have put me in a much better position. As they're going to go out this turn into... Who? It's Incineroar. Okay, so we're at least going to get some good damage on Incin. And that Intimidate doesn't really matter. Psychic turns up so they can't Fake Out. They are Shuka, so we're not going to KO. But Espeon's going to go down this turn from the Expanding Force. The problem is that they do get Calyrex back in without the speed drop. That's why the good Lord gave us Umbreon. So that we can beat Calyrex. The Expanding Force, it's not going to KO Pulk, but it's, you know, still more damage than I would like to take. So we get the Snarl there, and it doesn't even KO Espeon. We're in a tough spot. I'm gonna be honest here. We're in a tough spot. So what do we do? Honestly, I have Protect on Leafeon. I'm thinking of trading Palkia to KO both of these Pokemon is worth it. Because that would make it a 2v2. I can protect Leafeon and Snarl with Umbreon, make it a 2v1, assuming that You know, this is all going off Zacian either not having Play Rough or missing Play Rough into Umbreon. And then maybe we can work some magic. So I think that's the play. It's going to be a Foul Play into Espeon and Earth Power. They Helping Hand, so Palkia's not going to go down here. Okay. I think that's definitely not a bad play for them to make. For 100%, because you would never expect me to just be so cavalier and say, okay, I can trade my Palkia to KO an Incineroar, basically. But it does give me an extra turn on the field, and it does make them at least have to think. I'm assuming the Tear Strike is in the back, yep. And then Zacian's going to be the last. The thing is that we still have to... we still have to either dodge... We have to either dodge a Play Rough with Umbreon, or just not have... Yeah. We're still going off Play Rough miss, but... I don't even know if that's going to be enough, actually, now that I think about it. But we'll see. So let's go Foul Play into Calyrex and Protect. Just buys us a little bit of time. Because, I mean, their play this turn is always just Astro Barrage plus Play Rough into Umbreon. And that would KO both, guaranteed. Astral plus Behemoth Blade, I don't think KO's Umbreon. As they're going to Play Rough. And we do get the Play Rough miss. We get the Play Rough miss. So we KO the Calyrex. Wow. The luckiest episode in the world. Luckiest battles in the world, let me tell ya. Okay. I mean, now we're in potentially winning position. Because Umbreon, we just Foul Play. Yeah, we just attack with both here. It's just Earth Power and Foul Play. Try to chip it down. Honestly, if we can get both of these attacks to land, which we're not going to be able to, they're going to Behemoth Blade probably into Palkia, I would think. Yeah, so that's going to KO there. Foul Play is still going to do, because it's Stab, I think it still does about a third, if they are running no bulk. That does a lot, yeah, so that's a very, very clean 3-hit KO. And now the question is, do I Leaf Blade or do I Yawn? Umbreon should not take a Play Rough. I don't think Umbreon takes a Play Rough ever. So we always Foul Play. And if they're going to... Let's see, if they're going to Play Rough Umbreon, Leaf Blade's definitely like a 4-hit KO from this range, so I definitely Yawn, always. And just go for Sleep Hacks at this point. As they Play Rough, it does go into Umbreon. We don't survive, which... You know, makes sense. We don't protect on that Pokemon either. But we are going to get the Yawn off. So let's see if some Leaf Blade crits. You know, we've got a... we have a chance because we got that one Play Rough miss. So you protect here so that they go to sleep. And then we've got potentially... We've got up to 3 turns to crit a Leaf Blade. So we got a Behemoth Blade. I mean, we take a Behemoth Blade anyway. So we've got potentially 4 turns to crit 1 Leaf Blade. So we'll see. So that's turn 1. We're going to Leaf Blade here. See how much this does? It could just be a 4-hit KO, as that, I think, is the crit. That's the crit. That's the crit we needed. Oh, wow. I don't know if one without a crit KOs, as they're asleep, so that should win us the game. That sleep turn should win us the game, because we Leaf Blade again. Yeah, it doesn't crit, but even if they wake up this turn, a Behemoth Blade's not going to KO us. I hope they do wake up as they'd stay asleep. Oh man, I was thinking about like protecting that turn so they guaranteed wake up next so that they can see the Behemoth Blade damage. But another crit just to cap it off. Yeah, no Groudons this episode, but we do get to see Leafeon cap it off with the hypest win. So, you know, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, and for the first time in a while, going 4-0. That's a thing, is Cat Team's low-key good. Cat Team is low-key pretty sick. We don't get to see the opponent's team, which is unfortunate, but you will get to see this team in the rental code right now. Get to see the Cat Team one more time. I'll probably record with it again just because I have so much fun with this team. It is one of those that, you know, I mentioned in the introduction, but it's so fun. It's just like 6 Pokemon that all have like, you know, these very like niche scenarios that they can work well in, just mashed together. And as long as you can, you know, find the line to victory, and you know, you saw in the last game get a little bit lucky sometimes. You know, the team's pretty cohesive. Again, I mentioned it throughout the entire video. You've heard it now for what, 50 minutes or something, but no Groudons, but Leafeon still puts in a ton of work. You know, you get to see just the power of like a Choice Scarf Entei, Choice Scarf anything, but specifically one that hits as hard as Entei and has that speed control option. Palkia Solgaleo, just solid. I think, you know, Palkia, Solgaleo, say Dialga, Eternatus, Yveltal, like all of those like B and C tier restricted Pokemon that are just super, super underrated at this moment. Because, you know, they're, you think, man, Zacian Kyogre, Zacian Groudon, they're just so strong, but, you know, what's Zacian Kyogre gonna do against a well-played Solgaleo and Palkia? That's what I'm saying. Got to see Umbreon put in a ton of work, and again, Meowstic just, yeah, keeps being the MVP. Oh, Captain, my captain. But, yeah, had a ton of fun with this team. Gonna record one more time with it. And before I go, one last time, question of the day down below. Let me know your favorite Pokemon movie. Again, you know, the movie 3 is so good. I think it holds up super, super well. So, yeah, let me know. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you like what we're doing here. It helps out a ton. I have a lot of fun making these videos. It hasn't been the most frequent in the world as of late, but, you know, got a couple more ideas and hopefully going to get those out before the Little Root Lessons Draft League starts up, I think, second week of August. So, should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to that, and I'll see you next time.